Here's something almost nobody will tell you. You can be financially ahead of most retirees and not feel it at all, because being ahead was never really about the number in your account. If you're between 55 and 70 and you keep quietly wondering whether you're doing okay compared to everyone else your age, this is for you. You know the moment I mean. You open your statement or you hear some headline about how much you're supposed to have and your stomach drops a little and the question changes from, do I have enough to, is everybody else doing better than me? I'm going to give you 5 real signs you're ahead. Signs that have almost nothing to do with being rich. Most of them you can check tonight. And stick with me to the end, because the 5th sign is the one that surprises people the most. It's the one that actually matters, and it's the one the financial world almost never talks about. So let's think this through together. I'm Warren, and around here, it's always retirement facts, not fear. Sign 1. Your everyday income already covers your everyday life, without you having to sell anything. Here's the plain English version. In retirement, your money comes from a few different places, like faucets over a sink. For most folks, there are 3. Social Security, money you pull from your savings, and maybe a pension or a little part-time or rental income. The question that tells you if you're ahead isn't, how big is the sink? It's this. With the everyday faucets running, mainly Social Security, is the sink staying full enough to live on? Let me put a real number on that. Say your basic life, housing, food, insurance, the lights, costs about $4,500 a month. If Social Security is covering, say, $3,200 of that, you only need your savings to quietly produce the other $1,300. That's a very different, much safer picture than someone who has a bigger balance but needs their savings to cover the whole $4,500 because their lifestyle grew right along with their paycheck. Here's the part nobody tells you. A person with less money but low, predictable expenses is often far ahead of a person with more money and expensive habits. And that million-dollar headline you keep seeing? I went and pulled the Federal Reserve's own national survey of household finances. And only about 1 in 20 households, age 65 to 74, actually has $1 million in their retirement accounts. The typical household has closer to $200,000. Most retirees never hit that $1 million number, and plenty of them are doing just fine anyway. In a minute, I'll show you the cushion that makes this even safer. Sign 2, the mortgage and most of your other debt is behind you. A paid-off home is one of the most underrated moves in all of retirement. Think of it this way. When your house is paid off, it's like giving yourself a raise every single month. The rent check you no longer send to anyone. If your mortgage was $1,600 a month, being done with it is like handing your future self $1,600 a month, guaranteed tax-free for the rest of your life. No market required. People often ask Warren, should I really rush to pay off the house? And I always say the same thing. It's not just about the interest. It's about the floor. When your biggest fixed cost disappears, the amount of income you need to survive drops through the floor. And suddenly, a modest nest egg stretches a long, long way. That's why 2 people with the exact same savings can be in completely different situations. One still owes on the house and 2 cars, the other owes nothing. Same net worth on paper, totally different night's sleep. And listen, if you're not there yet, don't let anybody shame you. You worked too hard to spend these years feeling behind. Even knocking out the small consumer debt, the cards, the 1-car loan, moves you up this list fast. Sign 3. You've got a cushion of safe money, enough that a bad year in the market doesn't wreck your plans. Now, stay with me, because this is where a lot of good savers are quietly exposed. There's a risk with a clumsy name, sequence of returns risk, but the idea is simple. It just means when the market falls, matters as much as if it falls. If a big drop hits in the first few years after you retire and you're forced to sell investments while they're down to pay your bills, you can do real permanent damage to your savings, even if the market later recovers. The cushion is the shock absorber. It's a chunk of safe, boring money, cash, a money market fund, short, CDs that you can live on during a bad stretch. So you never have to sell your investments at the bottom. You work too hard for that money to be forced to sell it on the worst possible day. If you already have a year or 2 of expenses sitting in safe money, you're ahead of a huge share of retirees who are fully invested in just hoping the timing works out. Here's how to build it. Grab that pen. 3 steps. Step 1. Add up 1 year of essential expenses. Not your dream budget, your survival budget. Housing, food, utilities, insurance, medicine. Say, that's $54,000 a year. Step 2. Subtract your guaranteed income. Social Security, any pension. If Social Security brings in $38,000, your gap is $16,000 a year. Step 3. Multiply the gap by 1 to 2 years and hold that in safe money. So $16,000 to $32,000 in cash or equivalents. That's your shock absorber. The money that lets the rest of your savings ride out a storm without you touching it. That's it. If you've got that, sign 3 is checked. And notice what this does. It turns a scary, vague fear. What if the market crashes right when I retire into a specific, solvable number? That's the whole game around here. Facts, not fear. Sign 4. You think an income, not net worth. Here's the mental shift that separates people who feel calm in retirement from people who feel anxious no matter how much they have. A big net worth number is exciting, but it doesn't pay the electric bill. Income does. The people who are truly ahead have quietly answered one question. How does this pile turn into a monthly paycheck I can count on? Think of it like a master key. Net worth is a drawer full of different keys. The 401k, the IRA, the Social Security, the home equity. Someone who's behind just stares at the drawer. Someone who's ahead has figured out the order they'll use those keys, and which door each one opens, which account to draw from first, when to turn on Social Security, which move keeps their taxes low. They don't have more keys. They just know which key opens which door. You don't need this perfect. You just need a rough plan for turning savings into a paycheck. The moment you have that, you stop feeling like you're guessing. And let me tell you, most retirees never make that shift. There's no way to get more time, and spending it anxious over a number is a shame when a simple income plan settles it. Let me tell you about a couple I'll call Ray and Linda, friends of ours. The kind of situation I've watched play out with people I care about more times than I can count. Names changed, but this is real. Ray was 64, Linda 62, and for years, they were convinced they were behind. They had about $600,000 saved, and they'd read one too many articles saying, "You need $1 million or more." They felt like they'd failed. But here's what came out when they finally sat down at their kitchen table and added it all up. Their house paid off 2 years earlier. No car payments, no credit card balances. Their real, honest monthly spending was about $4,200. Social Security, once Ray claimed at his full retirement age of 67, was going to cover roughly $3,300 of that. They had a year and a half of expenses sitting in cash, and they still thought they were behind. Meanwhile, I know other couples with $1.2 million who are more stressed, not less, because they still owe on a big house. They lease 2 nice cars, and their spending crept up every year of their careers. On paper, twice the money. In real life, far less breathing room. Ray and Linda weren't behind. By every sign that actually matters, they were ahead. And they'd spent 2 years worrying for nothing. I don't want to see that happen to you. Which brings me to sign 5, the one I promised would surprise you. The single biggest sign you're financially ahead? It isn't a dollar amount at all. It's this. You know what enough is for you, and you've made peace with it. Here's why that's the one that matters. There's a trap I call, just a little more. It whispers that you'll feel safe at $1 million. Then you hit it, and it whispers $1.5 million. It never stops, because it was never really about the number. The people who are genuinely ahead are the ones who've defined their enough a specific income that covers the life they actually want, and can look at their plan and say, that's enough, I can stop chasing. That contentment, backed by a real plan, is worth more than another $100,000 you'll never relax enough to enjoy, because there's no way to get more time. And spending your best years anxious about a finish line that keeps moving is the one mistake you can't get a refund on. That's the sign the financial world almost never mentions, because you might already have enough doesn't sell anything. So here's the one question to ask yourself tonight, the one I promised at the start. Sit down at your own kitchen table and ask, if the market never went up another dime and I never saved another dollar, could my income cover the life I actually want? If the answer is yes, or close to yes, you're ahead of most retirees. Full stop. No matter what the balance says. If this helped settle something for you, do 3 quick things. Tap like so more folks near retirement find it. Type the word ahead in the comments so I know this one landed. And subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And watch this next. How many retirees actually have $1 million? Because once you see the real numbers, you may realize you've been measuring yourself against a myth. I'll see you there. Until then, this is Warren reminding you, you worked too hard to get here to get this part wrong. Take care of yourself.